My name is Alexandra. I'm 27 years old. I'm a part-time housewife who has been married to my same-age husband Wyatt for 5 years. We don't have any children yet, but we were living a relatively happy life. However, one day, my husband's infidelity was discovered, and our normal life changed completely. When my husband left his seat, I saw a name and message displayed on his smartphone. The content was clearly from his mistress. I couldn't stay silent in such a situation, so I confronted my husband when he returned, waiting for his response. However, what my husband said was unexpected.
"Oh, I cheated. So what?"
Are you trying to be defiant?
"I'm not being defiant. I just answered honestly. What else did you want me to say? Did you think I would make excuses and beg for forgiveness?"
What? My husband admitted to cheating without any remorse and even began to provoke me.
"You were trying to question me so arrogantly. I hate that about you. That's why I cheated."
What?
"You're always complaining. Do this, do that. I don't want to come home to a house with a wife like that."
That's because you.
See, you're already blaming me. I'm sick of it. Unlike you, Scarlett thinks of me first. She's a nurse, and she makes good money. Moreover, she said she wants to live with my mother right after marrying me. Just in case something happens to my mother. Oh, she's so kind. She's 3 years younger than you, but she's a wonderful woman. Completely different from you, who said it would be better not to live together with my mother when we got married. And even after living together, you can't get along with my mother. Do you think there are any benefits to having you with me and my mother anymore?"
It wasn't that I didn't want to live with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law had lost her husband early and had been living alone until then. My husband said he wanted to live with her because he was worried about her being alone. However, my mother-in-law was still in her late 40s at the time. I told my husband that it would be better for my mother-in-law to live alone than to live together. According to my husband, that was heartless. In the end, we ended up living with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law said,
"I'm sorry we have to live together. I heard from my son that you didn't want to live with me."
"No, that's not the case."
Don't make excuses. I never liked you from the beginning. Let's not interfere with each other.
My husband apparently talked to his mother, and she had disliked me from the start of our cohabitation. My husband said,
"I married the wrong person. If I had married Scarlett from the beginning, we wouldn't have had such a hassle."
"What?"
It's true. So far, there's nothing you can do to beat Scarlett. And on top of that, you're a wife who can't have children for 5 years. If it were a few decades ago, you would have been sent back to your parents' house immediately.
My husband said that to me. I couldn't take it anymore and handed him the divorce papers I had prepared. "If you're going to say that, let's get a divorce. There's no point in being with you if I have to be told such things." Actually, I had noticed my husband's infidelity before. Then my husband said,
"Ha ha. You have it ready? If you're going to get a divorce, show me that paper from the beginning. Don't beat around the bush about my cheating. You knew I was cheating, didn't you? So you were expecting me to beg and you were holding back on giving me the papers. I'll never do that. If you want a divorce, I'll sign this divorce paper right now."
My husband said that and signed the divorce papers without hesitation.
"Now, don't hesitate and submit this to the court right away."
I did as my husband said and submitted the divorce papers to the court the next day. And I ended up leaving the house after the divorce. However, my former mother-in-law said to me,
"Oh, you're still here? Didn't you divorce my son? Are you waiting for my son to cry and ask you to stay? That's pointless. My son doesn't seem to be thinking about you at all. so get out of here.
As I was preparing to leave, my ex-mother-in-law spoke to me like that. Then my ex-husband joined in.
That's right. This is no longer your home. Get out of here.
My ex-mother-in-law said, I can't believe it. You're not much of a wife if you make a fuss over a single affair. My ex-husband said,
My mother's right. But Scarlett is different from this woman, so I'm looking forward to the next one.
My ex-mother-in-law added,
Yes, the next wife is a kind nurse who thinks of me. I'm glad you divorced this woman.
My ex-mother-in-law approved of my ex-husband's infidelity and belittled me. I agree. I also think it's good that I got divorced.
What?
Don't worry, I'll be gone by the end of today. Please be patient for a little longer since the moving company will arrive soon.
You.
As we were talking.
Excuse me, we're the moving company.
The moving company I had requested arrived at my home. They entered the house one after another to carry out my belongings. My ex-mother-in-law said,
Now I can finally breathe easy.
My ex-husband said,
We should have done this sooner.
The two of them muttered as they watched the moving company. However, they were about to realize that they had made a huge mistake.
Wait a minute. Why are you trying to take the sofa? That's our property. That woman can't take it, so leave it there.
No, this is what the client requested, so we'll take it.
What?
Hey, wait! Mom, it's a disaster. They're trying to remove the refrigerator and washing machine over there. What's going on?
I don't know either.
Furniture and appliances that they didn't expect to be taken out were carried out one after another. Despite their attempts to stop them, the house was emptied in no time. And finally, thank you for your help. I said goodbye to the two of them and got into my car parked in front of the apartment.
What the?
My ex-husband was stunned by the sight.
What are you trying to do?
My ex-mother-in-law shouted at me. Huh? What do you mean? I'm leaving the house because we're getting divorced. You also told me to leave right away, didn't you?
That's not what I'm talking about. Why are they taking furniture and appliances that aren't yours out of the house? And even the car. Are you trying to take them as compensation for emotional distress?
What? No, that's not it.
Then why is this happening?
I explained to the two of them, who were panicking. Well, all of that furniture, appliances, and this car are all mine that I bought with my own money before we got married. It's only natural that I take them with me.
What?
Actually, most of the furniture and appliances were purchased by me when I was single. The car was the same. It was a beloved car that I had saved up for when I was single.
I never heard that story.
Well, that's because he told you not to. He's been acting like he bought everything until now. He didn't want you to know that the furniture, appliances, and car were all bought by me, not him. Maybe he wanted to show off to you that he bought everything.
Wyatt, is what she's saying true? You said you bought everything.
Well,
Why would you lie like that?
Well, that's how it is. So I'll take all of my things with me. If you need anything, please buy it yourselves. Then, my ex-husband, who had been silent until then, remembered something and said this.
right. Property division. What about property division?
What?
When a married couple divorces, they divide their property, right? That means we should divide all the furniture, appliances, and cars too. You can't take everything by yourself.
Is that true? Then what this woman is saying is nonsense. We have to tell the moving company to return the furniture and appliances right away.
That's not necessary.
Why?
Do you know what a married couple's property is? It refers to the property formed by the cooperation of the married couple. In other words, the furniture, appliances, and car that I bought with my own money before we got married are not subject to property division.
That's a lie.
If you don't believe me, why don't you look it up on your smartphone? My ex-husband apparently couldn't believe what I was saying. He immediately looked up the subject of property division on his smartphone. However, what was written there was exactly what I had said. The two of them stood there speechless. First of all, we decided not to divide our property when we divorced before we got married. Don't you remember the marital property contract?
Huh?
Didn't you suggest that we make a marital property contract so that we wouldn't have trouble when we got divorced?
I didn't.
Before we got married. Thinking about divorce before we got married.
It's just in case. You know, it's like insurance. You think ahead so that you won't be in trouble if you get injured or sick, right? It's the same thing.
We made the contract based on his words. I found out later that marital property contracts are often made by people with large assets or people who remarry with children. At that time, you had a better job, so you suggested that we make a contract because you didn't want me to take your earnings. Well, now I earn more than you do.
That's not true.
But I'm grateful. Thanks to you suggesting that we make a marital property contract, I didn't lose any property. Thank you. Then, my ex-mother-in-law, who had been listening to the story, turned pale and asked me.
Wait a minute. The roles are reversed? You earn more money? Why do you keep saying that my son doesn't have any money? He works for a major company.
Oh, he quit just before he married me.
What?
He said there was a boss he didn't like at work or something, but he actually caused a lot of damage at work and was fired.
What did you say?
Mom! Wait, let me explain.
So I talked to my boss at work, and now he works at a factory for a major company. So I make more money than him.
I can't believe it. Then, the furniture and appliances you talked about earlier.
That's right. He lost all his earnings as compensation for the damage he caused. He didn't have any money to buy new furniture or appliances. As expected, he trembled and said,
You're making fun of me. I don't accept that.
What? What did you say?
I won't accept that. I'll change the contents of that incomprehensible contract right now.
It's impossible to change the contents.
I can do it.
You really don't remember. At that time, you were told, right? After marriage, you can't change the contents for any reason. Is this content okay?
What?
So no matter how much you cry or scream, this fact won't change.
Once you decide, you can't change it. That's fraud. You probably weren't explained properly.
If you think it's fraud, why don't you go talk to someone? Well, I don't think it's possible to overturn it even if you consult. The two of them hold their heads in my words. I add insult to injury. Oh, there's one more thing I have to say. I've already terminated the contract here, so please leave within a few days. Ex-mother-in-law is stunned.
What are you talking about? This apartment is an apartment my son contracted for the two of them.
Oh, that's a lie too. This is an apartment I originally contracted for when I was single. We were supposed to contribute money and live in a new house together. But he lost his job and canceled the room he had been living in until now, and he moved into this house I had contracted with in the form of cohabitation. And it's come to this. I ended up living with my mother-in-law who didn't know anything until today.
I can't believe it. Did you keep it a secret from me too?
Yes. He seemed to want to protect his pride so badly that he went that far.
Why didn't you tell me such an important thing?
Because.
It's not because.
All the lies are revealed, and the two start arguing. I look at them sideways and say, "Well then, that's it. Thank you for everything." I start the car and drive away. In the rearview mirror, I can see the two of them saying something to me, but it's none of my business. However, the story didn't end there. A few hours after I left that house.
Help me! Please!
He called me.
Something terrible has happened. I never thought it would come to this.
He speaks in a very panicked manner. But I knew why he contacted me. What? Did you find out that your girlfriend wasn't a nurse but a part-timer? Or did your lies come out and you were abandoned?
Why do you know that?
I researched your girlfriend because your infidelity caused the divorce. So I found out more easily than I thought. Your girlfriend is lying to you.
What?
The truth behind his call to me was this.
Never mind, we don't need her. We have Scarlett. Our plans will be a little earlier, but we can live at Scarlett's house. She's a nurse, so we can manage with just the two of us. Besides, she wanted to get married soon, so I'm sure it'll work out.
Yes. Let's contact that girl first.
Hello? It's me. Can I come over there now? It's a bit sudden, but is that okay?
Huh? Sure, but what's going on?
I'm having a little trouble with my ex-wife, and I have to leave the house. So, can my mother and I come over there?
The two of them, who had lost everything and had nowhere to live, apparently immediately contacted the woman he had an affair with. But.
What are you talking about? It's impossible, isn't it?
Huh? But you're a nurse, and you live in a nice place. You have several rooms, don't you? So we can stay there.
I'll tell you this now, but I'm not a nurse. I'm just a part-timer. And my house is small and can't accommodate two people.
What? Did you lie to me? Why would you say such a thing?
Because I thought I had to lie to get your attention since you work for a major company. If I said I was a part-timer, you wouldn't have paid attention to me, would you?
But still.
That's why my house is impossible. Besides, you work for a major company, so you can stay at a hotel or rent a new house, right? And I can understand your ex-wife is leaving you, but why are you leaving the house? That's strange. If you're going to blame me, explain it from there.
So he reluctantly revealed that he worked at a major company's factory, that all the furniture, appliances, and cars were his ex-wife's and taken away, and that the house he lived in was contracted by his ex-wife and he had to leave because it was terminated. Then she was furious.
You're the one who's lying more.
Wait a minute.
How can I calm down? Our relationship is over. If you want to rely on someone else. Goodbye.
Wait a minute. Hey! Scarlett!
They couldn't get in touch with her after that. He contacted me for help because he had no one else to turn to.
Please, Alexandra. Can't we start over? It's all my fault. From now on, I'll do the housework and listen to everything you say. So come back to me. And with this situation, it's not just me, but my mother is with me too. If we can't find a place to go,
When he realized that I was the only one he could rely on, he showed a remarkable change of heart. His mother behind him did the same.
Alexandra, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize how important you were. I'll apologize with him. So let's live together with the three of us again. I'll help with the housework a little too. Don't sulk forever and accept our apology.
She started to persuade me. However, my feelings didn't change. Live together? No way, what are you talking about? I have nothing to do with you anymore. Who would go back to your place?
What? Hey, Alexandra. What did you say?
Didn't you hear me? I'll say it as many times as I need to. I said I won't go back to your place ever again. This is the result of your own decision, right? You're taking me for granted after saying such things and not getting the results you wanted. Stop underestimating me. Then.
You're taking advantage of me by being so passive. You have some nerve. Where are you now? Tell me where you are, and I'll come there.
He must have been quite frustrated with being clearly rejected by me. He shouted at me. But once again, I was one step ahead of him. If I tell you where I am, will you come?
Yeah, I'll come there right now. And you'll apologize to me. You'll apologize by saying everything I said and did was wrong, and please live with me again, even though I'm such a failure.
Oh. I see. Then come over now. I'm at my parents' house.
Huh, your parents' house.
That's right. You're coming, right?
Well, that's...
What's wrong? You don't seem as enthusiastic as before. Weren't you supposed to apologize to me? The whole family is waiting, so come quickly. Actually, he's terrified of my father. Because my father is a strict police officer. He hates wrong things and things that lack common sense. He's the complete opposite of my ex-husband, who always lives carelessly and recklessly.
Your father is scary, Alexandra.
Huh? That's not true.
If I ever cheated, I might not make it.
Well, that might be true. I'm praying that doesn't happen. After we decided to get married and finished greeting our parents, he kept saying that. So he must have been scared when he heard I was at my parents' house.
Well, I think I'll pass on going there directly. I think it would be a nuisance if I suddenly visited.
It's okay. We don't mind. We've talked everything through, so I thought they might want to hear more from you.
Ha! Have you already talked?
Of course. If their daughter suddenly came back to her parents' house, it's natural to ask for a reason, right? So I just told everything without hiding anything. So, what are you going to do? Are you coming or not?
No!
However, it was already too late.
You said you were going, didn't you? Come to our house right now. You should tell me everything when you get here.
Wait!
My father, who had been listening to the conversation behind me all along, snatched my smartphone from me and shouted at him. Once it got to this point, he couldn't help but come to our house. If he didn't come, he would suffer even more. And about 30 minutes after that phone call, he and his mother arrived at my parents' house with a very pale face.
I think you've heard a lot from Alexandra, but there's a reason for this.
A reason?
It's not like I wanted to cheat or anything. Alexandra works at the head office and makes more money than me, even though we work for the same company. I've been teased by my colleagues about it. And when I go home, she throws harsh words at me, and that's how I ended up talking to other women and getting into that kind of relationship.
When he came to my parents' house, he made excuses to my father that he wasn't at fault. And then,
I also saw the two of you interacting while living together. I thought Alexander's behavior was a bit problematic. Of course, I think my son is to blame for cheating, but this time, Alexandra is also at fault, so why don't we call it even?
the ex-mother-in-law joined in and tried to end the conversation by saying that both parties were at fault. What are you talking about? Then, my father, who had been quietly listening to the conversation, said this to the two of them.
So where was my daughter at fault in this conversation?
Ha! Well, because of her prickly words.
Then let me change the question. What exactly did my daughter say to you?
Things like don't sleep, help with the housework, or why don't you take out the trash? Words that make it seem like I'm not busy at all.
Are you serious? You think that's enough to be considered prickly words? Are you a middle school student? Or are you just joking?
What?
And the fact that you took my daughter's words of caution as sarcasm means that you had an inferiority complex compared to your wife, who earns more than you. That's not my daughter's fault, and it's not a reason to cheat.
Let's calm down a bit.
Calm down? Don't be ridiculous. We trusted your son and let our precious daughter marry him. And yet he cheated and was kicked out of the house. And then he turned around and came back after being dumped by his mistress. It's ridiculous. I don't know what you came here for, but we have no intention of forgiving you.
My father was furious and his face turned red. My mother was the same. They didn't say anything, but I could tell they were angry. He saw their reaction and...
I'm sorry.
He apologized deeply. But like my father, I had no intention of forgiving him with such a superficial apology. I handed him the document for the compensation claim that I had prepared with a lawyer in advance.
What? A compensation claim.
What? Did you think you didn't have to pay? You're a married man who cheated, so it's only natural to pay compensation.
That's ridiculous.
He was shocked when he saw the amount on the invoice. He asked for a reduction because he couldn't afford it, but he couldn't withstand the gaze of my father, who was watching nearby, and reluctantly accepted the payment. Afterwards, I sent a certified letter of the same compensation claim to his mistress. However,
I was deceived too. I dated him because he said he worked for a major company. I never thought he was just a factory worker at a big company. I'm the victim who was deceived. So I don't have an obligation to pay compensation.
She refused to pay compensation, saying that she was deceived. Of course, such an excuse was not acceptable. In the end, the two of them paid compensation as I wished.
Have they paid the compensation properly since then?
Yeah, I guess they were scared of your yelling, so they paid it sooner than I thought.
I see, that's good. But I never thought it would come to this.
Me neither. I never thought this would be the outcome when we got married.
Well, I'm sure those two learned their lesson from that. By the way, what are those two going to do from now on? They were kicked out of the apartment you were renting, right?
Oh, I heard that from someone else too. After that, the two of them had nowhere to go and wanted to rely on distant relatives. But...
What are you two doing here?
We can't say the details, but we have some circumstances. Can we stay here for a while?
We're relatives, so we should help each other when we're in trouble, right?
Stay here? Help each other when we're in trouble? Are you kidding me? You caused us so much trouble and now you're saying that?
Actually, these two had been cut off from their relatives because they had been abusive and selfish in the past. Despite this, they forced their way in and asked for help because they were relatives. Of course, the relatives didn't listen to their request and kicked them out. According to rumors, the two of them managed to rent a dilapidated apartment and started living together. However,
It's your fault that we ended up living like this.
Why are you blaming me?
You hated her and bullied her, so she left. That's why she left.
Don't blame me. You're the one who made the direct cause. You're the one who cheated and was deceived by your mistress, so you're the worst.
What?
the two of them blamed each other and ended up in the worst possible relationship. As for me, I'm enjoying my life alone in a new rented house. If you ask me if my life turned out the way I wanted it to, it didn't. But personally, I'm very satisfied with this outcome.
How was this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.